scared if I tell all my feelings for you. Need to know what you're feeling, know what you're feeling. I'm so scared if I tell all my feelings for you. Can you feel me? in my mind, a world full of wrongs that feels so right. Fight for tomorrow, the past is behind. Take what you want and make off in the night. Young and we're reckless, you reap what you sow. Burned at both ends like the time that we sow. Faster than lightning, we're on a roll. Take me on a journey, get out of control. Ooh, jumping on the midnight train, going somewhere I can't explain. Ooh, jumping on the midnight train, jumping on the midnight train. Feels so right, oh, oh, feels so There's no escape, these thoughts in my mind. A world full of wrongs, it feels so right. Out of the darkness and into the light. Move with momentum, I know what you like. Freedom, we're chasing and climbing new heights. Taking a risk, yeah, we're rolling the dice.
What is up, Level Up Nation, and welcome to the Monday, November 30th edition of Level Up Live. I was trying to think of something witty to say there, but there's nothing to say. It is November 30th. It is a Monday, and welcome to Level Up Live, your home for gaming and esports news, brought to you by OTN Media. My name is Fiasco. You can call me John. We're all friends here. And that dude rocking that sweet, sweet all-white Fnatic jersey is the king of the courtside, Joey. What's up, buddy?
John, I am doing well. I am thankful to have this show, thankful to have our beautiful audience out there, podcast listeners, live listeners alike. It was a good week last week. Not as thankful to go back to work today, but hey, we are there. I'm glad I have a job, and I'm glad it is going pretty well. So overall, it was a pretty good holiday week off last week.
Yeah, not too
for the parts I
shabby.
did have off, not all of it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go. Yeah, I mean, you got to be with some family, which was really cool. I didn't get to do too much. I did have to work the Friday after Thanksgiving. Not a lot of fun. But other than that, not excited to be back at work. I still have to commute into the office, so it's definitely not fun. But what is fun, Nation? It's fun to follow this show on social media. So make sure you follow the show on Twitter and Facebook at Level Up Live. That's at LVLUP Live. And while you're on Twitter, why not give your favorite hosts a follow? Of course, I'm talking about the king of the courtside, Joey, right next to me. You can follow him at Courtside King and follow myself at Fiasco as well. And Nation, if you do wish to listen to the podcast version of the show, the Level Up Podcast is available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. And since you're listening to the podcast already, why not leave us a really awesome review on that platform of choice? Reviews do go a long way, help grow the show, reach new audience members and listeners. So we do appreciate any moment you take out of your day to leave a really awesome review. I'm already being trolled about the transition.
I think it was a good transition.
I thought
you
it was
did
pretty
a very
good,
good job
too.
there.
I thought it was good.
It was smooth
Thanks,
as
Blake.
butter.
Smooth as butter. All right, Nation. It's Monday. It's the last Monday in the month of November. So, Joey, we have to knock November out in style. What are we talking about today on the November 30th edition of Level Up Live?
John, we are going to dive a bit more into League of Legends free agency. Now that the dust is kind of settling, we have an idea of what the majority of these rosters look like. I can fill in the final holes for most of them. There is one roster that I still have a question mark on, and that is Dignitas. I'm still trying to figure out a couple little positions there, but overall, we do have quite a bit we can dive into with that. On top of that, Super Nintendo World is a thing over in Japan, so we're going to take a look at that. We're going to look at a few upcoming games and much more.
All right, so we have our topics. Joey, I am so hyped to talk about Super Nintendo World. I want my vaccine and I want it now so I can go to Japan for the grand opening for that. But we'll talk about that a little bit later on down the road, Joey. So we have our topics, but of course we can't touch any of these topics before we hit on our drink of choice. Of course, it's that beverage that's going to help us to get through the episode in style and with class. Sir Joey, Mr. King of the Courtside, the gaming king, your beverage, please.
The king of the courtside has to go with water this week, guys. I'm sorry. I drank quite a bit over Thanksgiving, and I will talk about one drink. I tried Proper 12, Conor McGregor's Irish whiskey. Guys, it is so good. So smooth overall. Amazing stuff. If you guys like Jameson out there, I highly recommend trying out Proper 12. In my humble opinion, and I know a lot of people probably disagree with me, I think it's actually better than Jameson. So I think I have been converted in terms of Irish whiskey.
I think if it's got Conor McGregor's name on it, I'm not going to touch it.
I'm not a big Conor McGregor fan either, but I am a big alcohol fan, and this just did enough for me.
Now, I will say I did try Aviation Gin, Ryan Reynolds gin that he put out there.
Oh.
Very, very smooth. A lot of great notes in that gin. Bombay Blue Sapphire Far East is my favorite gin. This is right up there with it. It doesn't have that Far East twist on it with the black peppercorn in the gin. Guys, look, I understand it's not an alcohol podcast, but at the end of the day, we're trying to prepare you for life. It is a very smooth gin. Highly recommend that as well. So Blake is already calling you out for your water, Joey, which is fine.
I know, go figure.
Because he's about to call me out for mine. It's not water. It's probably just one step above. It's a truly hard seltzer.
Oh my!
It is the OG lemonade flavor, my dudes. So I am pumped about it, Joey. You have your water. You're giving your liver a well-needed rest. And I have adult lemonade. I'm completely cool with that. Joey, we have our topics. We kind of have beverages. We'll leave it there. Let's get right into it. Let's get right into gaming and esports news. Let's go.
Kicking things off in our roster section this week, 100 Thieves has added another competitive Warzone player and creator for the second or maybe third week in a row now. This time it is Rated coming over. I believe he was last on the London Royal Ravens, if I remember correctly. Played for the Call of Duty League. He was actually on my roster that won the championship in the fantasy league that I'm in. So he's a good player. He's a guy that's been around the scene for a while. I want to say he played for like Denial, Red, Reserve, maybe. So he's been in Call of Duty for quite a while. He's been around. He's pretty darn good at Warzone. He's one of the better players out there, doing pretty well competing in different tournaments for that. Also a streamer that's pretty popular as well. Now 100 Thieves, again, with their kind of lifestyle branding, they have gone out and picked him up, not for a team necessarily, but to come on, maybe to play competitively, but also to be a streamer, which seems to be the big key factor when it comes to 100 Thieves. It's great if you play well competitively. They want to win events, but they're looking for those streamers as well. They want to connect on a level outside of just the esports and pro level. They also want to bring in those personalities, and Rated just fit their build. So he will be coming in as the second or third Warzone player in a row, joining 100 Thieves.
And of course, they can do this because of their most recent 100 Thieves merch drop. They did over this past weekend, which I'm pretty sure sold out in under 10 minutes for a ridiculous amount of money for a freaking hoodie and t-shirt and hat and everything else they put out there. So 100 Thieves dropping the new merch line that you can't get anymore. You probably get it secondhand for like 5 times the amount of money it costs to buy it in the first place. And that is allowing them to pick up competitive player and creator. So there you go.
Stealing money from your wallet, one thief at a time. Yeah, I mean, they continue to do it, John. And I think that's the coolest thing about them, is that they're not just looking for that pro player, they're looking for that creator. How can we take this a step further than just the competitive stage? How can this person connect and bring in a bigger audience to 100 Thieves, but also to help grow their individual brand as a player, as a content creator, et cetera, as well? And they just seem to do that time and time again, identifying really good people. Nico, who they brought on recently, she's a big time streamer. She pulls in a ton of people. Her audience has grown, and 100 Thieves has grown as a result of it. You look at what Courage has done with that brand. I mean, a number of different streamers and content creators have really helped 100 Thieves elevate to another level. Now, again, some of their competitive teams, League of Legends, they definitely let's say left room to be desired. Now they'll be running Golden Guardians Part 2 here for the next LCS split. You look at their competitive CSGO team, it's left a lot to be desired. So again, not the biggest, highest performing team when it comes to a lot of these esport titles, but when you look at name recognizability, I don't know what word I'm looking for there. You know what I mean, people. Come on. Just being able to recognize this brand, it just goes beyond that esports level. It's that full content creation level. They have tons of people out there bringing their profile to another stage. stage, and it just continues to go time and time again. So I really like this approach by 100 Thieves, and I think Rated will fit in pretty well with it.
Yeah, 100 Thieves and FaZe Clan, really the two lifestyle brands out there that are really doing a great job combining the two. So much that we're seeing other esport organizations, Cloud9, TSM, Fnatic, all launch their own clothing apparel line as well. You could make an argument that it's maybe not as highly sought after in comparison to those two, since they are limited time drops, but those lifestyle content creators, esport organization combination there is working out well for both of those orgs. So it allows them to do great things like we were saying with this creator. So I like it. 100 Thieves is really doing quite well.
Absolutely. And they will come back up in our news a little bit later on in partnerships. But for now, John, we're going to take that dive. We're going to take the dive. We started to dip our toes in a little bit last week with League of Legends free agency. Now we're going to dive in a bit more to look at some of these rosters. Again, we won't go through every single one. Otherwise, tonight's show will be about 3 hours. So we're just going to kind of touch on some of the bigger ones and give our thoughts on those. Kicking things off, Sword Art to TSM. It was rumored last week. It was rumored the week before. Now it is official. Sword Art is a go to TSM. After Doublelift stated that he would only remain at TSM if they were able to pull in a high-level Asian League support, someone from the LPL or the LCK. TSM followed through. They said, okay, we're going to go for Sword Art. He was from Suning, the team that ended up as the runners-up at this year's World Championship. They were able to pull him in, and they got him. They locked in this amazing support. Doublelift is going to stay. It's going to be great. Right after they ended up, or right around the same time as this deal went through, Doublelift decided to retire as well. So now we have TSM here signing Sword Art for a 2-year, $6 million deal. And Doublelift, their star AD carry, one of the most legendary AD carries of North America and the LCS in general, has now decided to retire. So legendary support Sword Art will be now pairing up with Lost from the Academy team of TSM.
Yeah, that was quite a twist. Doublelift really forcing TSM to go out and find a non-LCS support player to come in, a really high caliber, support player to come in, and you get Sword Art coming off of Suning, an amazing player, did incredibly well in Worlds this past go around. And then Doublelift retires. I believe the announcement for Doublelift's retirement came like a day before Sword Art's official announcement. But still, that definitely has to throw TSM for a little bit of a loop there. You are going to be pretty much set up in bot lane, not taking anything away from Lost, but again, like you were saying, Joey, in comparison, Doublelift is just such an iconic LCS ADC player. You can point at flaws here and there in his game. You can point at his ability to show up on the big stage at Worlds or international competitions, and issues with that. You can do that all you want. At the end of the day, you cannot sit here and deny the fact that Doublelift has been one of the best ADCs in LCS history. And this is coming from a Cloud9 fan. This is coming from someone who doesn't like TSM. So it has nothing to do with, fandom or anything like that, coming from a place of complete neutrality here. So Doublelift had an amazing career, jumping around CLG, TSM, Team Liquid, back to TSM. So, he's left his mark on the LCS. It's been very good. But if you're at TSM, this was definitely a twist you did not see coming when you signed a high-profile player like Sword Art.
Absolutely. So is Sword Art now online for this TSM roster? That is going to round us out with Huni in the top lane, Spica in the jungle. For the mid lane, it will be Power of Evil, PoE to most. Then in the bot lane, we're going to have Lost paired up with who is going to be the support? Sword Art, of course. So it's going to be a pretty good roster overall. It's a nice mix of veteran talent. Again, Sword Art has been around for quite a while. He played for Flash Wolves before Suning. You have Lost, who's very new. Spica, just one split under his belt. PoE has played quite a bit over in the EU LCS at the time, then came over to the LCS and played for FlyQuest. And then on top of that, over in the top lane, you have Huni, who has played for in the LCK for T1. Before that, for Fnatic over in EU. Before that, he was with Samsung Blue. So he has been in the South Korean scene for a couple of years. He's been in EU for a year, and then in NA for a couple of years as well. So a lot of different mounds of experience on this from international leagues, as well as just playing League of Legends at a competitive level for quite a while now. So I actually like this roster. Do I think Doublelift retiring is going to help this roster? In the short term, I don't. I feel like losing someone like Doublelift, that veteran experience as well as the mechanical talent that he has, it's definitely going to hurt TSM. It's not going to be something great to overcome here early on, but long term, now you have a young AD carry and Lost getting trained by one of the better supports in all of the world for League of Legends. in Sword Art. So now Lost could potentially develop those skills at a younger stage. Maybe he can help Spica out as well from a shot calling perspective. I think this could be a very, very big move for TSM. Again, maybe not this split, but maybe as we get closer to summer, maybe even next year as well, as some of this talent starts to come over. Now, I think the biggest thing with the Sword Art move, I don't 100% know what his linguistic level is. I don't really know if he's going to be a player that's going to come in and speak fluently in English when it comes out. And I actually don't know too much about the language barrier present there. Having someone like Hooney does help, though. Hooney does come from that Korean background, and he has learned English, so he can do some of the translating. Again, when you're in those high-intense team fights, it really comes down to quick words that can be passed back and forth between the two languages. But having someone there, it's at least when it comes to strategy and trying to break down things prior to games and in games when things are a little bit slower, Hooney can fill a little bit of that build as well. I'm kind of excited for this roster. If we had to rate it from 1 to 10, John, what would you give this TSM roster?
On paper right now, I'd probably give it a mid-level rating. I'd probably give it right around a 6. There's definitely some talent there. Again, I think the loss of Doublelift is going to hit them a little bit hard, like you said in the beginning. But I do think long-term, depending on how this team can come together, there's a lot of potential on TSM's roster. If you're a TSM fan, you're used to your team being dominant. You're used to your team maybe having a couple of weeks that are bad, then having, this glorious comeback towards the end of the split like we saw last season. It may not happen. It may not happen this year, but if this roster sticks together, there's a lot of potential if this roster does gel and the chemistry is there for TSM to easily return to be a top 4 contender in the LCS going forward. Who knows? They may surprise people and be a top 4 contender going for that number 4 spot. But right now I give it a solid 6 based upon what we see here for TSM.
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest thing is the language barrier. If Sword Art can come in and shot call pretty cleanly, I think I'd give them a higher rating. So I'll land at about a 7, assuming his English is somewhat decent or he at least knows some keywords that'll be able to help them out in games. But again, with someone coming in probably as a new shot caller, Bjergsen being a really big shot caller on that team before, now moving to that coaching role, the shoes are going to have to be filled. I think Power of Evil will come in and fill those shoes very nicely in the mid lane as a mechanical player. But when it comes to communication, I'm curious how Sword Art is able to get involved pretty early on. So because of that, can't quite rate them just yet, but it sounds like 6.5 is about our rating here for Level Up for now.
Now, Joey, this roster without the retirements, Hooney, Spica, Bjergsen, Doublelift, Sword Art, how amazing would that roster have been?
With Bjergsen?
With Bjergsen and Doublelift.
I think weaker.
Weaker, really?
I actually think weaker. Yeah, I think so. When you look at 80 carries, I think Doublelift is great again. But when you look at how Tactical replaced him, it's a young up-and-coming talent, someone who has a lot of years ahead of him. I think Tactical is just a really strong mechanical ADC. Now, I don't know if Lost is on that same level. I think he has some more room to grow. But I do like the idea of moving toward a younger level. As far as Bjergsen and PoE, I actually like PoE better than Bjergsen. Again, Bjergsen was at the end of his career. Still great mechanically, still great as a leader, but I do think Power of Evil comes in with a little bit of a stronger laning phase than we saw from Bjergsen the last couple seasons. On top of that, a younger player as well. So he can come in with a bit more years. He has that LEC experience or EU LCS at the time experience. So coming in with a bit more of that international play too. So I kind of like this roster better. Again, my question mark would be more the ADC, but I think give it a split or two, and I think Lost could potentially get up to a level, especially paired up with Sword Art, that he needs to be at. That's a little spicier of a take. I don't know if too many people would agree with me on that one, but I do like the fact that we do see some younger players coming in here, especially when we see a lot of the NA or the LCS. I see this EU LCS thing is throwing me off. Now that you see a lot of these players starting to age up and a lot of them getting to the older side, and you see some of those final long-term contracts, Jensen with that 3 years from Liquid, that could be his last contract. So a few of these are starting to get toward the older age when it comes to player age range. And I think TSM starting to turn a little bit younger here could be a good move for them in the future.
Yeah. Well, what was it? You become a boomer at 24 now?
It feels like it for real though. Like I feel like 24, 25 is when we see a lot of these players really start to drop off. Bjergsen being there for quite a while. A few of these others like Hooney's been for quite a while. A number of them have been, but overall, eventually they are going to find their way out, just as we saw SOAS start to move toward that coaching role as well after a stint with the Immortals. Next, over to your boys Cloud9. Perks to Cloud9 is now official. We talked about it last week, but it is now pen to paper. The contract is done. We're looking at a 3-year contract. This number is not official, but I believe it's $2.7 million a year. So we're looking at about a $9 million contract, not including that $3 to $5 million buyout that had to get bought out by G2 as well, with Cloud9 sending that money toward G2's way. This is a mega contract, John. We're talking somewhere in the $12 to $15 million range on this contract. This is a hefty contract, most likely the biggest contract we've ever seen in the LCS, to my knowledge. Sword Art's contract, if you look at specific years, he will make a little bit more per year at $3 million. But again, that's a 2-year contract compared to a 3-year contract here. So this is big money for C9. This is C9 saying, hey, we don't only want to win, we want to win now. They're going full hefty into this thing. Again, you do see them moving for Fudge instead of Licorice up there. So there are some arguments against it with them going with that younger talent. But again, putting this much money into Perks, this is a win now type of move, and C9 needs to deliver.
Perks take us to the promised land. That is back to Worlds and out of the group stage again. Yeah, I'd be cool with that. No, it's a behemoth of a deal. Like everyone knew that this deal had to be massive with the rumored $5 million buyout that G2 was looking for. Obviously, you know, G2 held Perks in high regards. I think a lot of organizations held Perks in high regards, and he definitely got his money's worth. But I think this goes back to an overall developing story arc here, is that we've hit on it here on the show before, the salaries in the LCS are getting absolutely ridiculous. Now, you want to sit here and look at, okay, $2.7 million a year to play a video game. Yes, that's anybody's dream. Anybody would love to get paid. I would argue even half of that, or even a quarter of that, to play a video game for their career. You know, the LCS has a lot of money in sponsorships and marketing coming in, deals, investors. There's just a lot of money in the LCS, and this is what we're going to tend to see here in the LCS, is massive money being thrown around, because when you take a look at it, the LCS in comparison to the LEC, to the LCK, to the LPL, they just don't stack up. So you're going to have to convince people to come to your league. You're going to have to convince people to travel halfway around the world to come to your league to compete, to, you know, make a statement in the LCS, force other organizations, if they want to be competitive, to do the same. That way you can compete on a larger international stage. The question then becomes, do we see a salary cap? You know, what does this do for the growth of NA talent in League of Legends? Are we just, you know, taking a bow and saying, yes, you know, Asia and Europe, we recognize you as the superior LOL player, so we're just going to focus on importing talent? Now, yeah, there are also the import rules there as well. So obviously you're still going to have some NA players. But, you know, outside of Bjergsen, Doublelift, you know, those were 2 iconic NA players. Some of the players have gained NA residency. The real issue is that there still really is a weak pipeline from the academy system or from the amateur scene to the LCS for North American talent. So while this is a great deal for Perks, a great deal for Cloud9 and Cloud9 fans alike, especially you $500 Stratus C9 members out there, you're helping pay for this contract. You know, it raises a lot of questions in regards to what is going to be the future for the LCS in terms of salary cap and talent development in NA.
Yeah, I think the salary cap is something we've hit on quite a bit, and it really is a factor. And I think somewhat having a players association would help in some regard with that. I almost feel like, I hate to suggest this, but I almost wonder if we need to look at something like a luxury tax as well, like you see with the MLB. It just feels like some of these organizations toward the top are willing to spend a ton of money, and you look at some of the organizations toward the bottom that don't quite have that same level of income. It's even tough for those rosters to compete at all on the same stage. So I think something has got to be done in that regard. Eventually, this bubble might end up popping if people keep continuing to rise these salaries, like we see here with Perks, like we see with Sword Art. It's one of those things where a lot of rookies are now looking at, hey, do I play in the LEC or the LCK or the LPL because I want a greater chance of winning? Or do I say, hey, let's just go get the paycheck over in NA, which sucks for NA too, because now it looks like this league is just not winning. They're just paying people to come on over and try to win. So it's a negative balance for both NA as well as these rookies having to make these decisions of getting paid less for a better chance of potentially improving as a player and moving on to get to the bigger stage, or taking the paycheck now. Maybe NA performs and shows up at Worlds and gets out of groups. or maybe they just do nothing like we've seen a lot of other years. So it's one of those things that I think is becoming tougher and tougher for younger players to make the decision on. With that being said, I know like 7 or 8 EU players, especially rookies coming up, were offered contracts in NA and they all turned them down for EU, again, for that better shot at a more competitive league, in their opinion.
So, Joey, just out of curiosity, I made a joke about it for Cloud9 Stratus members out there. I haven't seen anything through my research. Do you have any information to how many memberships were actually sold to Stratus for Cloud9?
I would say it's probably not too high.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the whole Fnatic investing thing, Fnatic was posting numbers all week long, all the following week about how many investors, how much money they pulled in. The Stratus thing, I haven't seen a single thing about numbers. I do keep getting promoted ads, though, which is probably not a good sign. But yeah, I think you and I have both received, 3 emails about it. I know I keep getting ads on Instagram and Twitter about it. So yeah, I have a feeling that price might change within the next year.
Then I might think about it.
Yeah, I think they need to come down just a tad bit on that one. But again, they do need to fundraise. Like you said, this whole perks thing, the perks of having perks is you got to pay a bunch of big money dollar contracts out, and they do need to find a way to pull that in. So Stratus, I guess, is one tiny way of doing it. But Cloud9 also does quite a good job with funding rounds. I believe they've had an A, B, and maybe even a C. So they've done quite a bit as far as pulling that money in that way as well. Looking at a few of these other rosters, so I think the other thing we need to hit on before we move on is just the young talent coming up in both the LCS and over in the LEC and EU. A few of these rosters, Golden Guardians, they didn't quite get there the way we'd like to, but I do like the young talent showing on this roster. In the top lane, it is Niles. In the jungle, Iconic. I believe it's a Blaze Olive in mid. Then we have Stixay, the veteran, coming in at ADC, and then Newbie as the newbie support player. So you have 4 rookies coming in here alongside an ADC. And it's been around for quite a while. He's had a good split or two, but not the greatest ADC when it comes to full-on overtime performance in the LCS, let's say. We've seen this before, though. Fnatic did it a couple years ago. They had an undefeated split as well. Prior to Reckless coming back, they did quite well, too, in the spring. So it is doable. That was with Yellowstar coming in as a support. Do I think Stixay is going to have that same effect that Yellowstar had? Do I think these rookies are as good as Huni, Reignover, Febivin, and Steelback? Probably not overall, but I do like the fact that if Golden Guardians is going to sell their roster, I'm glad they're not going in on a bunch of older veteran talent. I'm glad they're going in on these young talent that they can potentially nurture up. Now, again, we saw that a bit with Closer. We saw that with FBI, and it was one of those things where eventually they did move on from those players, which is super unfortunate. But now they're getting a second go at it. I hope these players come up and show some potential. I know one of the guys in OTN who's a high-ranked player up in Master Diamond rank, he talks about Niles a lot. He says Niles is incredibly talented. He works very hard. He's played with him and played against him before. So I'm glad to see him get a shot, having somewhat of a connection to him in that sense. A few of these other players like Iconic and a Blaze Olive, very talented as well. So talent-wise, as far as raw talent goes, I think this roster is incredibly good. But again, you do come in here with a lack of experience. It's going to take some time for them to get going. But as the Golden Guardian side looks, now you have these guys on rookie deals. You can potentially keep them around for cheaper for longer. And then by that time, maybe your funds have raised to the point you can sign them to longer term contracts with a super young roster. So I think there's a lot of potential here. But again, it's going to take a little bit of time to unlock. And again, the funds need to be there at the end to keep them in place, so you don't sell them all to 100 Thieves a few years down the road. I think the other one to look at here, John, is FlyQuest, and I'd like to get your thoughts on this one a little bit. So they have Licorice in the top lane coming over from Cloud9 as a veteran. Then you have, I believe it's Jose Deodo. How do you pronounce that? Jose Deodo? I can't remember how to pronounce it. I'm pronouncing it wrong. But a jungler coming over. So he is an OPL jungler coming over there as well, filling in that new spot with OPL counting as residency in LCS. You have Palafox from the C9 Academy team. Again, very talented player, went over and did some boot camping over in South Korea, did extremely well on the LCK ladder. You have Johnson coming over as a young player in ADC from Dignitas, and then Diamond from Cloud9 as well as the support. So again, 3 C9 players, Licorice being from that starting team, Palafox and Diamond from that academy team, sided up with I can't pronounce his name. I literally pronounced it before this show, and now I can't remember how to pronounce it.
Is it Jose Deodo?
It's something like that. I cannot remember how to pronounce it. If I hear it, I'll know it for sure. But yeah, we'll just call him Jose. Jose, extremely talented. He gets a shot at NA over here. Palafox, very good. So with 3 players coming over from Cloud9, though, you have Licorice from the main team, Palafox and Diamond from the academy team. now all paired up in this potentially strong FlyQuest roster. Again, similar to what we said with Golden Guardians, it is a little bit on the rookie side of things. What are your thoughts for this roster, especially seeing a bunch of former C9 players over here?
Yeah, you have to be excited. Cloud9 may be one of the only organizations in the LCS that actually took the academy system seriously, and they've developed quite a bit of talent that has funneled into main rosters for a lot of different teams in the LCS. So Palafox and Diamond making that jump onto the main stage, that was just a matter of time. They were performing incredibly well down in the academy level. Cloud9 knew they wouldn't be able to hold on to them. So, we see them, signing with FlyQuest, and Licorice has a good relationship with those two players to begin with. Licorice did spend some time on the academy team as well. Obviously, they were in the same gaming house. They spent a lot of time together being in the same organization with Cloud9. So there is that chemistry there already. So if you're a FlyQuest fan, you have to be pretty excited for this. Licorice is a solid top laner. Palafox and Diamond, you have to have high hopes for. They performed incredibly well. Can they do that on the big stage? Can they do that in the LCS studio when the studio can actually reopen? We'll find out. But yeah, I think if you're FlyQuest, you have to be pretty happy with this roster. You went young, which is you're probably ahead of the curve in that, because you are playing the long game. You're playing for future seasons to come versus a Cloud9 or a Team Liquid that are looking to win now, shelling out all the big money. This may work out better for FlyQuest in the end, being able to develop this talent as a core and maybe tweaking it here and there as you go along. But FlyQuest, I think, is set up pretty good to perform well in the upcoming split. And I think in years to come, if they're able to hold on to this roster, FlyQuest could become a contender again.
One other thing with these young rosters and Golden Guardians in particular, I did not know this, but Squirkle from chat is saying, it should be noted, an Arrow came out and mentioned that Golden Guardians held an open player tryout, which held about 55 players. They even offered for other LCS teams to watch as well. So again, these are young players, not only coming in based on what the scouts of Golden Guardians saw, but what they really opened up to everyone. They tried a bunch of players. It wasn't, hey, who's the cheapest? Let's grab them. They literally had a big trial out there. 55 players is nothing small to have. They came out, performed their best. Again, some of these players came from the draft, Niles being one of them. So Golden Guardians really diving into this young talent, but doing a good job observing it, checking it out, scouting it, and then eventually signing these contracts and bringing these players on board that hopefully become superstars later down the road. Okay, last but not least, guys, and then we're moving on from League of Legends rosters for this week. I just want to take a quick look at the LEC rosters. John, if you want to pull this back up, the thing to look at here is the young talent in the LEC. When you look at EU, one of the big things they're known for is those EU mid laners. Well, guys, you're getting a lot of young mid laners. You're getting top laners. You're getting junglers as well. Lots and lots of young talent coming in here for the LEC. In the top lane, again, not all rookies, but most of them are rookies. You have Armut. You have Gen X coming over. You have Broken Blade coming over from TSM. So I believe this makes him kind of a rookie over in the LEC, but again, not a rookie overall. Sagenda over there for Vitality. You have either Hyrit or Aggressivo coming in from Misfits. XL with Cries and Astralis with White Knight. Over to the jungle, you have Aloya coming up for Mad Lions. Again, I thought Shadow was great. I don't quite get this replacement. Aloya, very talented though overall. SK Gaming, Tinks. Keep an eye out for Tinks. I think he's incredibly talented. I've been watching a lot of his solo queue, and I think him and Blue are going to be a great pair over there on SK. You have Skeens for Vitality. Dan coming over from Fnatic Academy, worked with Joey Youngbuck when he was the coach of Fnatic, now moving over to XL. And again, he is going to pair up with a very good mid laner, just like we saw with SK. And that is going to be a fun matchup to watch. And then Astralis, you have Zanzara coming in as well into the jungle. Over to the mid lane, ladies and gentlemen, these are players to watch. Blue for SK Gaming comes over from Fenerbahce Esport. He is very, very good. This is what a lot of people are saying. This could be the next Caps potentially. Again, he didn't finish the greatest when it came to some of these matchups. I believe he was like 7th in his respective playoffs overall. But mechanically speaking, Blue is extremely talented. He's very good. He's going to be a player to watch. And again, with Tinks as a young jungler, that could be a jungle mid combo that could go for years to come here for SK. On top of that, you have Vethio coming in from Misfits. Again, another young, talented player. I believe they're looking at Diplex as well, who's another good talent from that mid-lane position. Still a little bit on the younger side, so it might be a little while before he comes up, but Vethio filling the grid for now for Misfits. And then over in XL, this dude is a beast. Over from Poland, he is a monster. It's Czech Lalad coming in. He is going to be very strong as well. Coming out EU Masters, he was, I believe, the MVP of that final matchup. Extremely talented, just like these other two players I've mentioned. The mid lane in EU is going to be so incredibly talented this year. And I think it's going to be tough for some people like Niski, for example, coming in to Fnatic, playing on Cloud9. Again, you can argue the whole LEC versus LCS thing. I think Niski's good, and I think he's going to get the job done for Fnatic, really highlighting his self-made as a player. But overall, when it comes to mechanical mid lane prowess, I think Niski's going to have a lot of trouble up against some of these young players like Blue and Vethio, as well as Checolade as well. So we'll have to see how it all plays out. But again, lots and lots of rookies coming out for the LEC this year. You have a few other ones in the support position. Trimby for Rogue is one, replacing Vander over there as a veteran talent. Trimby, again, I don't know too much about Trimby, but I've heard he's a pretty good player. So it'll be interesting seeing him pair up with one of the better ADCs over in EU and Han Sama as well. And then Promised You back to the LEC, this time playing for Astralis. So a couple other ones out there to definitely check out. But again, LEC and LCS finally bringing up a lot of rookie talent. LEC really diving in heavy as we saw a lot of veterans not find places in the LEC this year. Nemesis, Febivin, both of those players passed up for some of these rookie mid laners. On top of that, you see a few other players like Crown Shot for SK, arguably a top 3 ADC in LEC last year, not finding his way back in here as a few of these teams ended up going towards rookies. So we'll see how it all plays out. But for now, again, lots of incredible talent, lots of incredible potential coming out for the LCS and LEC when it comes to rookies. Sorry, I just completely dove into that and figured I'd just run through it all. So we'll wait. We'll dive a little bit more into that once we see some of these rookies get some playtime. But for now, you can go ahead and check out their streams on Twitch. As the dust settles on free agency, though, John, we are going to move into Fortnite. Fortnite Creative, in fact. 100 Thieves has partnered up with Fortnite to create the 100 Thieves Cash App compound. I went ahead and put a link in there, John, if you want to pull it up. The compound is packed with quests and Easter eggs while being fully explorable in Fortnite's creative mode.
Do you want me to play the video or?
Yeah, how long is the video? Yeah, we can throw the video up there.
That's a minute. That's fine.
YouTube.
Give them
how
a
the fuck
full
you doing? Hey
look
guys,
at this.
Nate Shot.
Beauty.
Today I'm bringing a brand new.
Why is it not letting me go full screen on this? Hold on a second.
Website broken?
Yeah, it's actually just not going to go full screen. Interesting. Let me pull it up on Twitter, see if it does it that way.
Yeah, it's working for me. You could try refreshing the page too.
I have.
Yeah, please. NA production chat. I know.
Yes.
We're working our way there. It's because John has Shadowlands running in the background.
It has nothing to do with Shadowlands
like
in the
a virus.
I feel like you're just
Our video is
jealous.
currently stuck in the maw. Please come back later.
YouTube. How the fuck you doing?
So funny. So funny. All right, here we go. Perfect.
YouTube. How the fuck you doing? Hey guys, Nate Shot. Today I'm bringing a brand new video. This is the most excited I have ever been in our company's history. 2 years ago, we started off in a bedroom. And for those last 2 years, we have been working tirelessly day in and day out to bring this space alive. And that's why I'm so excited to welcome you all to the 100 Thieves Cash App compound. Let's go take a look.
Already looks better than NRG.
And that was real life.
That was real life. Your $400 hoodie you just bought this weekend helped make this possible.
I'm not gonna lie, that thing looks sick.
It does.
Like they did a really good job. It's kind of creepy. I mean, in a sense, like, I mean, yeah, it's so realistic. Like they did a very good job. I can't imagine how much time was put into creating that. I'm a little scared to ask how much time was put into creating that, but hey, someone got paid to do that, as Chad is saying over here. Squircle over there. I think it's really cool though. I think it's a fun way again for fans to interact. 100 Thieves being that creative organization that they've shown us time and time again. This is another way for fans to dive in to really experience 100 Thieves at a different pace. Try to jump into a new environment, in this case, the Cash App compound that they have over there. So again, I really think this is 100 Thieves being super creative. It's funny because it's in Fortnite Creative, but overall, it's just one of those things where they find a new way to connect with fans that a lot of these other orgs are currently not really diving into.
Yeah, and just real quick, if you want to check it out, tomorrow is the last day. December 1st is the day that it ends. So it was available from November 24th to December 1st. So today and tomorrow are your last 2 days to check out the Cash App compound in Fortnite's creative mode. So if you want to take a look, if you want to destroy Nadeshot's office, go for it. You can do it in Fortnite. It's completely fine. He won't be upset. So if you want to check that out, Fortnite today and tomorrow, last days only.
Absolutely. So while you guys are warming up, knocking out the 100 Thieves Cash App compound and getting ready for the next event to check out, John, that next event is going to be Super Nintendo World, because this is going to be sick. Set to open February 4th, 2021. Again, COVID could end up changing a few of these plans here, but Universal Studios Japan is pulling this one off, and this looks absolutely amazing. We do have a small video as well as some photos for this one. John, you can choose the video or the photos. Either way works for me. But think of Nintendo, guys. Imagine just placing yourself in a Nintendo world. You got the Marios, you got the Bowsers, the big pipes, the mushrooms, all of that goodness, all sucked up into one amusement park. And this thing looks amazing. We're having all different video troubles here, aren't we?
A break. Come on, YouTube. There we go. It's the embedded player. He just doesn't like it.
It looks so good. I mean, just the statues, the Mario Kart. I believe the Mario Kart ride is actually going to be AR as well. So there's going to be some AR elements involved. I don't know if they'll do it virtually too. So if the park doesn't open due to COVID, I wonder if they run some kind of cameras on top of the cars as well, to kind of make that experience something that people can have from home or via a virtual ticket or something like that. But overall, the whole thing just looks so cool. It literally feels like being immersed into a Mario type of world. And with Nintendo and the IPs, I could fully see this park expanding even further. Obviously, Mario, Bowser, Peach, these are big names when it comes to Nintendo, but they could eventually move this forward and maybe throw some Hyrule stuff in there with Zelda. Maybe we eventually see them jump into some Metroid stuff. It's one of those things that Nintendo is big enough that they could definitely expand upon this and make it somewhat like we've seen with Disney World, where there's separate parks being added year over year. So I think it's one thing we could see expanded on in the future. But for now, based on raw plans, John, this looks amazing.
Now, wasn't there also a video of the Super Mario Kart or the Mario Kart ride? I'm trying to find it because I think there was a video.
I didn't see it, but I would not be surprised either.
I am dying to know if there is one. Anywho, Joey, I have never wanted to have a vaccine more in my life. I'm not a huge fan of needles. I don't make that a secret from anybody. But I am willing to get stuck. What was it? What the vaccine is a series of 2 shots. Make it a series of 6. I don't care. I want to go to Japan. I want to go to Super Nintendo World. I want to throw a banana at Joey while we're riding on Mario Kart. I want to throw a red turtle shell at Joey while we're on Mario Kart. What else am I missing? I want to throw...
Why do we have to throw these things at me?
Because if I don't throw them at you, you're going to throw them at me.
Enjoy the ride here. How about you have some like stars?
You're going to throw them at me.
You can sparkle. You can go fast. I don't have to get hit by anything. I think that's the solution here.
Yeah.
Dang, Squircle coming out with the blue shell. You know why he's going blue shell? Because he knows I'm going to be in first place. Thank you, Squircle. I like it.
Blake goes, the reason everything's being thrown at you is because you're drinking water.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to send the Hammer Brothers your way, Blake. Chill out over there, brah. But overall, guys, I think this looks so cool. I think it's one of those things like as a kid playing Mario Kart, as an adult playing Mario Kart, those Super Mario games from years upon years back, all the way to the present. You have so much with that IP and so many incredible experiences. John has mentioned on the show before, maybe we get some kind of teaser for the good old Super Mario Brothers movie. We know that was a classic. Maybe that could be like a live theater experience. But overall, this park definitely looks amazing. Definitely a high-level theme park to check out. I see you shaking your head. You want that movie, huh?
I'm actually making sure I don't go AFK too long in Shadowlands here off to the side. Sorry.
Oh my gosh. See, priorities, people. Get those priorities in line. Speaking of priorities.
Jeez.
I'm going to send you back to the mall, sir.
I go
The
back
Game
all the time.
Awards, guys, remember to vote. We talked about it last week. The show is on December 10th. It will not just be awards. There are going. Am I back?
Yes, you are.
Am I back? I'm back. Yay. Okay, guys, vote at the Game Awards again, December 10th. There's going to be the voting. There's going to be winners. There is going to be teasers as well. I don't know 100% what they all are going to look like as of yet, but I do know there are going to be some big ones there if rumors are to be true. So go ahead and keep an eye out for that. I don't know when voting closes. I would assume get your vote in by December 9th, maybe even December 8th, maybe a couple days early just in case. It might go right up until the show. Again, not quite sure, but they eventually print it on a card. So vote sooner than later if you care who the winners are going to be and if you want your vote counted in that. John, we talked about this a little bit last week. I think we'll probably do a voting show maybe Thursday or Monday. Depending what our guests look at, we can go through all the categories and talk a little bit about our thoughts on those shows overall. Is there anything in particular you're looking forward to with the Game Awards besides all these amazing winners that will come out of it?
No, so apparently Blake is too busy playing Skyrim, and he's upset because our voices are killing the immersion for him, and he wants us to speak in a Nordic accent. I'm not even sure how to do that. So sorry, Blake, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know Nordic very well.
No. So yeah, Game Awards. Yeah, I mean, if there's any kind of cool trailers coming out, if there's more information on games coming out, release dates, whatever, that's always the fun stuff. It's kind of like when you find out more information about a game coming out, or there's a new release or a new announcement coming out for a new title. Those are, that's half the fun of watching these award shows. It feels like a lot of them are scripted anyway, based upon who wins and who doesn't win. Obviously, game of the year, want to see who wins that. Best story, there's a lot of really cool awards out there, but I think one of the biggest reasons people watch these award shows is for the potential of those announcements, of those new sneak peeks of games coming out maybe in 8 months in time or in the next year or two. That's what people really like. That's when the Game Awards really start to pop off. You really don't see too much about, so-and-so got robbed of this award like you do with like the Academy Awards or the Oscars or, whatever music award show it is. It's pretty laid back, but it really pops off when you see those announcements. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I'm honest, I really don't care too much about who wins a certain awards. I'd like to see some indie titles really represented there. I think some really deserve it. Ori being one of those titles that I think you can still call it indie. It does get funding from the Microsoft side, but it's one of those titles that I think has been looked over in previous years. Hades is another one that is pretty cool coming up this year. Animal Crossing, definitely not an indie, but it's one of those fun games that really hit a unique spot this year that I think could pull in some cool stories, if they have any kind of like audience stories with it. I think there's definitely potential around that game for sure. So we will check that out. Again, December 10th, we'll probably talk about that either Thursday or Monday show and kind of hit a bit more of those categories overall. Upcoming, Discord is launching an online merch pop-up store set to open tomorrow, December 1st. Guys, if you want your Wumpus t-shirts or scarves or gloves or whatever Discord merchandise there is, if you need that nice little lavender periwinkle looking purple thing and some kind of clothing item, that will be available December 1st tomorrow. Again, the store is currently locked online. There's no way to access it unless you have a password. That will open up tomorrow, December 1st for the public. Those of you interested in, I believe it was like, I can't remember what the original title of it was, but Ubisoft's Immortals Phoenix Rising comes out this Thursday, December 3rd. Again, a lot of people describing it similar to like, imagine Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild meets some kind of like mythic theme. I believe it's Greek mythic when it comes to this particular game. So there's some potential there if you like that kind of action adventure style of game. That one is going to drop December 3rd. Google Stadia has been doing a big promotion for a free trial of that game as well as Google Stadia. So if you guys want to check that out, that one fully drops December 3rd, but that free trial is still available to my knowledge. So go ahead and give that one a try. Many's game of the year last year. Control over by Remedy. We've talked a little bit about this game and some of the cool parts about the game, as well as some of the negative approaches they've had around the Ultimate Edition and forcing players to buy that to get this game on a next-gen console. Well, Microsoft has stepped in. I have a feeling this was prior to these things actually taking place, but they have stepped in and put it to Game Pass. So supposedly, if rumors are to be true, it will be launched on Game Pass later this month. So again, that is another Game of the Year contender that is potentially available on Game Pass here soon. I believe it will be for PC and console. Not 100% sure on that yet, but Control could be coming over to Game Pass soon. Anything on these last three, John? Are you looking at Ubisoft's Immortals Phoenix Rising? Are you looking at diving into this Discord merch? What are your thoughts on these last couple upcoming announcements?
I'm kind of curious as to what kind of Discord merch there is going to be. I put Discord merch right up there with Twitch merch. It's a very unique segment of people who buy it. It doesn't really make me excited. I really want to see what they're going to have. But Joey, I can easily see myself buying you for Christmas a Wampus plush pillow.
I knew you were going to say that.
Or some nice Wampus bed sheets for you and your wife, because I'm pretty sure she'll love that. Or, maybe a Wampus onesie.
No, I could rock a Wampus onesie.
Oh my God.
That could be quite the sight, ladies and gentlemen. You think Drink of Choice is fun? You should imagine onesie of choice when that comes next year.
Yikes. Let's not do onesie of choice. That would be an expensive segment.
I think we just lost some viewers on that one.
I think you lost a co-host. I'm out.
The good old Wampus onesie. So go ahead, guys, if you want to check out that Discord merch. Again, that comes live tomorrow. Can't promise there will be a onesie, but I can almost guarantee there'll be some kind of Wampus merch in there. Maybe a little bit of Discord symbol action on some sleeves. Go ahead and check that out when it launches officially tomorrow.
I am kind of curious to see if they're going to have the Hype Squad houses in there.
Oh, that would be cool.
Because obviously, you have your three houses, and we all know what Harry Potter has done to the world when it comes to being in a house. So, that would actually be what I'm curious about, to see if they have the Hype Squad gear in there as well.
What Hype Squad house are you in?
Oh, I think I'm Balance.
Oh, Balance.
What?
I am Brilliant.
Yours what?
Brilliance.
I don't know about that one. No, that's
Jackknob.
It's a PG show, Joey.
Exactly. That's why we chose that language there. But definitely, guys, check out that merch. Again, December 1st, Discord pop-up merchant shop online. Last but not least, in our upcoming, and we probably could hold this one, but I do want to mention it early to get it on people's radar. This is one of my underdog best games of 2020 coming out. I think this game has loads of potential coming in as an indie game. I think there are some really cool aspects to that. I think the graphics have a really cool style to it as well. This one comes out December 8th, and it's called Call of the Sea by Out of the Blue. It will be launching on Game Pass on day one. I believe for both Xbox consoles and PC, it'll be day one. Again, with Android in the mix on xCloud, it could be on Android day one as well. But definitely a cool game to look at. I really like the art style. I like the voiceovers. I think they're incredibly well done. It's a first-person adventure puzzle game set in the 1930s. And again, it's not getting a ton of coverage, but I really think it has that potential to be kind of like one of those underlying games that just slips through each and every year. Plague Tale Innocence was another one that I think kind of slipped under a lot of people's radar. Absolutely incredible game from Asobo. So I think this one is definitely worth checking out, John. I put the website in there if you want to show some screenshots or whatever.
I'll do you one.
But yeah, seriously, guys, add this to your radar, especially if you're a Game Pass player. I think this is definitely worth considering checking out.
I have another 50 seconds of extreme fun via YouTube for the release trailer here for Call of the Sea.
You left a year ago to search for a cure for my affliction. An island in the middle of the Pacific that the locals refuse to even name. Your letters kept me close to you. But suddenly they stopped coming. What happened, Opal? What did you find?
it kind of has like a Sea of Thieves vibe to it, just from the graphics and some of the gameplay a little bit.
It's cool though, isn't it? Like it's got a very unique graphic approach. Again, it does. I can see that, especially with the water. The animation there does have a little bit of a Sea of Thieves feel. But I like the idea of jumping into the 1930s. I feel like that's let's say a time period that has not been explored as much. We talked about it a bit with Call of Duty in the Cold War. It's kind of one of those areas that the genre has kind of missed over with Cold War jumping out. Again, I think 1930s is another one of those little pockets that has not really been touched on too much in video games. So I like the fact they're diving in with that. The voiceovers sound great overall. Puzzle games are super fun. It's one of those ways to just immerse yourself into an environment. The Witness was a really cool puzzle game that took place on an island. This one with a bit more human interaction going on. And again, it kind of has like the pickup item stuff like you have with Tell Me Why and Life is Strange, really getting to explore those books and different letters and things like that. So overall, I think this is cool. It's definitely a game I'll be checking out again, especially when they get on Game Pass. But it's going to be one of those indie titles that I think will fly under the radar, but it's definitely worth giving a look at. Did I freeze again?
No, you're good.
Okay, last but not least for our weekly esport league, Valorant. We do have tournaments in Valorant coming up here. Valorant's First Strike tournaments are set to kick off on Thursday, December 3rd for both NA and EU. If you guys want to check those out, they will be coming up on those particular dates. December 3rd is the kickoff for both NA and EU, and there is going to be some very high-level Valorant competition happening here. Again, the best teams in NA, the best teams in EU. This is I believe the first kind of Riot-sanctioned Valorant tournament going on here. We've had a couple others that Riot has come out and said they support, but I believe this is the first one that they're kind of taking the handle on and really running the majority of. So those First Strike tournaments, once again, high-level competitive Valorant action, December 3rd for those. Other than that, John, there's not really too much else to cover this week. It's kind of been a little bit of a lighter week, guys, with Thanksgiving. There hasn't been a ton of news jumping out there, besides 100 Thieves really making a bunch of waves with their different announcements, and then Super Nintendo World becoming a thing like today or yesterday when that got announced. So not a ton to touch on in particular. I think we'll look into possibly having a guest on Thursday or Monday. If we do not, we'll be covering Game Awards for one of those days. And then again, we can jump a little bit more into some League of Legends free agency if you want us to. But overall, a lot of that is starting to finalize over there. So we have a few different directions we'll go. There's going to be some big games that probably get announced for the Game Awards. We probably can't dive too much into those until they get officially announced. But once they do, I'm excited to break down some of that news as well. Anything else you want to say before we wrap this one up, good sir?
I was going to wrap it up. I already got the music going. There we go. Nation, that does it for this edition of Level Up Live. But before you go, head on over to patreon.com/OTN and consider becoming a part of the Overtime Network. In return, you'll get access to exclusive content that nobody else in the world can get unless they are a part of OTN Media. If you haven't already done so, make sure you follow the show here on Twitch to catch the next episode of Level Up Live. There you go. If you listen to the show on our podcast feed, leave us a review. The Level Up Podcast is available on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Play. Leave us a review. We would love to hear from you. We'd love to hear of all feedback, positive or negative. Let us know what you think of the show. Interact with us several different ways, Joey. How many different ways can the Level Up Nation, tongue twisters today, it's not vacation, it's that Thanksgiving hangover, can Level Up Nation go to interact with us?
Over 9,000 ways to connect with us. Head on over to Twitter at Level Up Live. That is LvL Live. In addition to that, you can follow the umbrella company OTN Media on Twitter and Facebook at OTN Media or on Instagram at OTN_media. A few other things, guys. We just launched a Reddit. It's a soft launch for now, but it is r/OTN if you guys want to check that one out. Don't 100% know how we're going to utilize it as of yet, but it is now live, so we're going to start putting more and more content over there for you guys. Last but not least, hit us up with a follow, maybe even one of those Twitch Prime subs as well on Twitch. That is twitch.tv/OTN Media. Keep an eye on the social media accounts for what will be coming later this week and next week. This show will be broadcast Mondays and Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time.
All right, make sure you tune in this Thursday, December 3rd, as we cover the latest greats in gaming and esports news. Do your ears and eyes a favor, hit that sub and follow button to know when the next episode of Level Up Live is ready for your viewing pleasure. We will catch you all on Thursday. Have a great week. Remember, be nice to your fellow gamers online, and as always,
level up.